All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Curtis Hawks with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. And I want to thank you all for joining us this Monday morning. We've got a great presentation for you today. We've actually one of our top producers on the meeting with us going through a unique idea and carrier that certainly helped drive a lot of production volume with his business. Before getting into that, though, I wanted to take a couple of minutes and talk about some of the additional ways that IAMS is here to support and help you grow your practice. First up is our new producer builders. And so you can see on the screen there, we've got a variety of different point totals. And what this is a way for us to partner with you, to meet you where you're at and help you to get to where you want to be. And so if you're new to IAMS or looking at us, the first 6 months that you're with us, you accrue points based off your production. And you can see at those point tiers, different things that you can cash in and get. The other thing I would mention to you as well is a core value of IAMS is customization services. And so whether you want to cash in on one of the options that we have up here, or maybe you're doing something that's working well for you and you want us to partner with you on that, we're certainly open to that as well. And so if you've got questions on our new producer bonus, reach out, talk to one of the annuity or life sales directors over here at IAMS. That phone number is 800-255-5055. In addition to that, we've got a refer producer program. So if you maybe know of an advisor or an agent who is in transition or that you just think might be a good fit for us, send them our way. When they get contracted, not only will you get a $50 bonus, but on an ongoing basis, you'll accrue marketing dollars on their production. You don't have to do anything. We'll take care of all the service. And, if you can't, these are some of the biggest checks we cut out. I mean, just looking back here, at the end of the last quarter, I mean, we had some guys that were getting $10,000, $12,000 checks just off of referred agents. And so it's a great way to have that independent revenue flow coming in. You still focus on what you're doing, and we take care of that agent. We also have our marketing reimbursement program. This is a great way to double the size of your marketing budget and have IAMS invest operating capital into your practice. You can see there for every $100,000 of index annuity premium, you get an additional $100, and then for every $100,000 of SPL or $10,000 of target life premium, you get an additional $200 that can go into your marketing account. And those dollars can be used for anything within your business. In addition to that, I just want to touch on back office support briefly. I know everybody says they've got top level service. I certainly think we do it better than most. But I do think over the last couple of years, there has been a spotlight put on the team at the IMO as carriers have reduced staff and done layoffs or have gone remote. Certainly, we're even seeing some of that at the carrier level as well this year with slowdowns in business. And so I think it does really put a spotlight on the importance of having a good team around you that is working to accomplish what your goals are, whether it's on the front end, on the case design and sales support side, or hammering the phones with the insurance companies, getting your business pushed through. And so I would encourage you, if you haven't tested out our back office support, you definitely need to. You can see Firelight up there. So we certainly have seen things moving in a more digital direction over the last couple of years. And so we do integrate a variety of technology into our platforms, whether it's from an illustration design standpoint to actual e-applications. You can see up here, let me get to this slide. We've got a number of carriers that integrate with Firelight. I would also mention to you that we integrate with iPipeline as well. So for those of you that are on the life insurance side, you can simply go on to our website, and whether you want to do a Firelight app or an iPipeline app, you can do it all in one spot. And if you've got questions on that, certainly feel free to reach out, talk to one of the sales directors over here. That number is 800-255-5055. In addition to that, we've got our creative marketing solutions. I was just talking about these guys. Actually, last week we had one of our life and annuity academies, which I'll touch on here in a slide or two. But they do an amazing job. Your brand, how consumers view you, is more important now than it ever has been before. the internet is the number one source of information across all demographics. And so part of what you've got to think about is, what do they think when they see my brand, when they see my marketing collateral? And if it's been a while since the last time you updated it or have taken a look at it, give us a call. Talk to one of the sales directors over here. We offer a custom marketing analysis. We can go through and do a review of everything and put together a plan to get things updated and brushed up. In addition to that, we've got our IMS website. This is a huge resource for our advisors. We've got a variety of things on there, whether you want to run annuity or life insurance quotes, whether you want to, as I mentioned, do an e-application, you want to download forms, you can do that as well. We've got our On the Move section, which is all the movement on current annuity rates. We've also got our Marketing Corner section where we talk about best practices when it comes to marketing and prospecting. We've also got our Sales Resource Library, which is literally hundreds of point of sale pieces that you can use with your prospects. And it covers everything from, if you just want a piece that talks about how do annuities work, or how does life insurance work, all the way to the opposite of the spectrum on advanced markets. I mean, we've got pieces in there talking about loan regime, split dollar, and everything in between. The nice thing about it is you can instantly download any of those pieces off of our website, and they're all unbranded. So they're not carrier specific. So if you're looking for very effective general consumer facing pieces, we've got a whole library available on there. We also, again, with that technology theme, integrate with a variety of software platforms. One of those is Retirement Analyzer. And you know, the number one fear for most retirees is, am I going to outlive my income in retirement? And I think it's a very real fear. And Retirement Analyzer does a very effective job of creating that crystal ball of, okay, well, if you were going to run out of money in retirement, when would you want to know? Now, or when it's too late to do anything about it? And so this tool allows you to run those projections and in a very simple and straightforward manner, articulate that to the client. And you can get access to the software absolutely free by being a contracted agent with IMS. And so again, I'd encourage you to, if you've got questions about that, reach out, talk to a sales director over here. That number is 800-255-5055. We also have our own RIA, Times Wealth Management. We've seen significant growth in that marketplace. And even with all of the volatility in the marketplace right now, has been and continues to be a great time to get into that market. You know, the reality is oftentimes consumers are going to be diversified in how they want their money allocated, right? And so while we offer safety and support through the fixed products that we offer, adding AUM to your business not only can help you provide more solutions for your clients, but also generate that stream of recurring revenue, which was certainly helpful, I think, to a number of reps here over the last couple of years. So if you've got questions on that, you can reach out, talk to Duncan or Charles over there. They do a great job. They'll talk about how they can help and support your business. And they're there to help you out. Our Life and Annuity Academy. So we just had one of these last week, and these are truly amazing events. And here's what I would tell you. Success is an unnatural thing. That's why it doesn't happen naturally. It takes not just hard work, but working smart as well. And these events are a great opportunity to come out and spend some time working on your business, learning from some of the top advisors in the country, learning about the most current marketing trends, learning about the most current trends in the annuity and the life insurance space. And so they're great events. We're really excited to be back doing these again. We had a little bit of a pause in 2020 and the first half of 2021. We do have one more event between now and the end of the year that we're going to do. It's November 2nd through the 4th. And what I can tell you is that those events are filling up fast. We're getting a ton of registrations for those. So I would encourage you, if you're interested in getting registered for that, reach out, talk to a sales director. Phone number is 800-255-5055. They'll get you the registration link out. We also, in addition to these types of training events, do a variety of incentive trips. Current promotion that we have going right now is in partnership with Athene. You can see it's 3 million points to qualify. Runs through the end of this year. In fact, actually, right now we've got double production credit going. So if you've got any Athene business out there, something to take a look at. But it's going to be in Park City, Utah. Amazing event. It's going to be gorgeous out there. Really, truly is, can be one of those experiences of a lifetime. So if you've got questions on that, reach out and talk to the sales director. And then lastly, before we get into the main event, follow and like us on Facebook and LinkedIn. We are doing posts each and every day on a variety of topics that span product and sales concept to marketing best practices, but a lot of good material that we have going out there. So with that, let me go ahead and switch over. So as I mentioned, we've got John Enting on the call with us today. He's one of the top producers that we work with, but I think more importantly, it's very interesting in the time that I've known John. He runs just a top shop with what he does, how he operates. Everything is deliberate. And so one of the great things about him is he's willing to share. There's some producers that are out there where this is what they do. They don't want to talk about it, but he's willing to pull back the curtain and talk about different things that help create success with what he's doing. So with that, John, I'll hand it over to you.
That's awesome, Curtis. Thank you. Hopefully, can you just see the presentation, or can you see the sidebar on there too? Sorry about that.
I can. Yep, I can see it.
Well, I don't know how you hide that without clicking out. So.
Oh no, I can't see a sidebar. I just see the slide presentation.
Oh, perfect. Okay, well, good morning, everybody. And Curtis, certainly thank you for having me on today. I do appreciate it. I'm here today just to kind of share some information with you on a company and a product that we use here at Enting Financial Services. But before I dig into that, just let me tell you, maybe. There we go. Let me tell you what we'll cover today. We're going to talk a little bit about Unity Financial. We'll talk about the opportunity that exists with their product. This product is a trust. It's very interesting to learn how they use this and how we use it for our clients. We'll talk about the product that goes inside the trust to protect assets for your clients. And then I'll give you some presentation ideas and some tools. The first thing I want to say to you that I think is very important is I'm not in the home office. I actually own a financial service practice in Columbus, Ohio. We have a couple offices, one in Dublin and one in Pickerington. So I'm doing this. We've used this in our practice for about 14 or 15 years now. And what I like to do is just share it with other advisors, because a lot of times I find out as I talk to other advisors, they just simply don't know that this is an option to integrate into their practice. Why Unity Financial? Again, we want to use a company that number one, drills deep on what they do. This is what they do. This is what they specialize in, the irrevocable funeral trust and estate planning trust. We'll talk about the guaranteed issue with no health questions. Simple application. We do everything here at Enting Financial as a single premium. I'll share that with you as we get down the road. Talk about how 1035 exchanges can be a good fit for this product. And then also, again, we know we're in this business to help our clients, but ultimately we want to get paid for our advice. So we'll share with you how we work that with Unity as well. So we all know that life requires planning, and it really doesn't matter what we're talking about, but I always like to talk about things that might happen. It's funny, we've got people that'll buy homeowners insurance and auto insurance, and they'll put money away for graduations or weddings, and hopefully you never have to use your homeowners insurance, but it might happen. Your home could burn down. But I like to focus on the inevitable things, and the inevitable things are we're all going to pass away someday. Just a quick story on myself so that you can kind of see where I'm coming from with this. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. My mom and dad divorced when I was 2 years old. I didn't have a close relationship with my father. But I've always been the entrepreneur in the family. So when I got a phone call on January 21st of 2011 that my dad had passed away, I quickly found myself the next day sitting in a funeral director's office. And the funeral director was asking me a lot of questions. He was asking me questions like, what's your dad's mother's maiden name? What was his highest rank in the military? What's his favorite flower? Who's his pallbearers? These are all things that, because I wasn't very close to my father, that I didn't have the answers for. But what it did make me realize in that moment was all the plans that we had done for our clients and our business, they weren't going to have to go through what I was going through. And that actually gave me a sense of pride, because there's really two ways to plan for things. You can take that on yourself today and get your affairs in order, or you can do like my father did and you can leave that to the people who you've left behind. So we're big on being proactive, obviously, because we're in the planning business. So there's a couple different choices when we talk about this program. You can go to a funeral home and you can prepay a funeral, or you can do it through an advisor like us and have choices with that money when that time comes and somebody passes away. So we always start asking our clients a simple question, is how much they think a funeral might cost. I will tell you, in the old days, I always just got, well, it's probably 10,000, 12,000 for a traditional funeral. But the reality is it's over $15,000 right now for a traditional funeral. We are hearing a lot from people about, well, I'm going to be cremated. Well, I always kind of joke with them and tell them that fire costs money, and there's other things that are going to still need to be done. So you still need to put something away, even if it's not as much as if you were having that traditional funeral. So they did do a national survey, and 72% of the people thought it was a great idea to pre-plan their funeral, or at least have those funds set aside for it. But 64% had not taken the steps to do so. And we know that our clients aren't any different than yours. What we think happens is, we think a husband and wife wake up on a beautiful day and one of them rolls over and looks at the other and doesn't start the conversation with, hey, let's run down to the funeral home today and pick out our caskets. So it just kind of gets sidestepped. The human mind can only think about its own demise for about 11 seconds, and then it's moving on to something else. So again, we just want to give you some information and create some opportunity for you to actually help your clients and put them into a good place. The market is exploding. If you're in the senior market, which I'm sure the majority of people on here are, whether you're doing annuities, long-term care, life insurance, investments, it really doesn't matter. What we're looking for is to make sure that we have enough people to talk to. And as you can see by this graph, there are going to be so many people by the time 2025 gets around that your client base and your prospect base is moving up, even as we're sitting here talking. So how do you start the conversation with the client? What we normally do, especially if it's a new client of ours, is we'll ask them a real simple question. Do you have long-term care insurance? We know that 93% of those people are going to tell us no. And so what we will do is we will explain to them that, at some point, a good majority of people are going to need care, and this is what the national average of costs for long-term care is. So if you don't have long-term care insurance and you have assets, we all know one thing for sure that's going to happen is that you're probably going to have to spend your money down and qualify for Medicaid. So when we talk to clients about that, and they don't have any long-term care insurance, then we'll tell them that we'll share with them a couple ideas where we can actually help them protect some of the funds from a nursing home situation. So how it really all fits together is really we're just using the protection of life insurance, but we're going to stick it into this irrevocable funeral trust to make sure the funds are protected. Again, we're helping those clients plan ahead, setting those funds aside, because again, we're all going to pass away someday. And then by using the trust to hold the funds, what we've done is we've spent the asset down, which can protect that money from being counted as an asset during that Medicaid consideration period. So let's talk first about the trust. The Unity Financial Funeral Trust, it's just basically a trust that's built to hold the life insurance proceeds. So you're going to get 100% protection from Medicaid spend down. So it won't be subject to that 5-year look back period. The policies are going to go into the Unity Financial Life Delaware Trust. It's going to get a simple interest rate declared annually. It pays the funeral home first. So the funeral home will get paid, and then any remaining money is returned to the estate of the insured or the deceased. I'll talk to you in a slide later why that happens. And then it's protected from nursing homes, long-term care facilities, and creditors. And then anything paid out of the trust is going to be a tax-free payment for the client. So how does the trust compare to traditional savings instruments? I'll just let you take a look at that for a moment. And if you look at where we have the irrevocable funeral trust highlighted and you see yeses all the way across there, this is only product, if you look there, that's going to give us a yes in every column that we're looking for. So again, it's a great product, it's a great program, it's a great company, and you're really doing a service for your client of letting them know that this is actually available. And that's what you'll find out. The majority of your clients don't even know it. So you can be 100% certain your monies are placed in this irrevocable funeral trust and they're going to be there. The reason I say that, some people will go prepay at a funeral home. There's an old saying in the business that, you know, the first generation starts the business, the second generation grows the business, the third generation blows the business. And we see that a lot of times with funeral homes where they've either went out of business or been sold to someone else. That won't make a difference to your client because this is portable. It can be used with any funeral home in the country. Even if you move to Florida and decide that's now where you want to be your final resting place, you can walk into with our plan to any funeral home and they're going to accept the plan. You don't have to choose any funeral services or merchandise ahead of time. You know, back to that couple laying in bed, the reason they're not making this decision is they don't want to think about picking out their casket and their final arrangements. We're more pushing, hey, get the money put aside. You can go do all that other stuff later, but the important part is having the funds set aside and having those funds protected. And then again, they're immediately available. And the reason I say that, if you've been in this business long enough, you know if somebody passes away with a life insurance policy, it's a 2 to 3 week period by the time you get the claim forms, get the death certificates, get everything submitted, get the money back. These funds are available immediately and are paid to the funeral home within 24 to 48 hours. So how does it all work in its simplest form? All we're doing is we're using a simple life insurance policy. It's a single premium. And I'm going to stop there because if you know about single premium life, you could take $15,000 and buy a traditional single premium life policy and maybe get $25,000 a death benefit immediately and have some cash value in there. If you do that, that's great, but all that money is subject to Medicaid spend down if you come into that situation with a nursing home. With this, if we put $15,000 in, we might start with $15,250 of death benefit. But once the policy is issued, 30 days after issue, it's going to be assigned to that irrevocable funeral trust. And it's going to sit there and earn a minimal amount of interest because this isn't about growing the money. This is about making sure it's there and protecting it. And then what will happen is when your client passes away, it's a very nice process. You call the funeral home, you get their fax number, their contact person, you call Unity, you submit the claim. Unity deals directly with the funeral home provider and gets them their money within 48 hours. Any excess funds have to go back to the estate of the insured, and the reason for that is those funds were protected from Medicaid spend down, so anything that's left over has to go back to the estate of the insured. Here in Ohio, we can do simplified probate with that money. It's a small fee in about 2 weeks, and we can get that money paid back to the family. So the comparison of the trust, there's two with Unity. There's the irrevocable funeral trust. You can put up to $15,000 into the funeral trust. I know we've got people on here from all over the place, so I will go through what your state limits are here in a minute, but they're generally considered an exempt asset by Medicaid and not subject to that 5-year look back period. Again, they're going to pay the funeral costs first. Any excess will come back to the estate of the insured. Sometimes you'll run into people who already have prepaid their funeral. So a great question for them is, do you have any other money that you would like to know with absolute certainty after a certain period of time that it'll go to your family, your church, your charity without being subject to a nursing home spend down? If they tell you yes, this is a great product for that because it does have a 5-year look back period. But once that 5-year look back period is over, that money is 100% protected. You can put up to $85,000 per spouse or per person, and have that money protected, and you can name a direct beneficiary so that it goes directly to the people, church, or charity of your choosing. So I usually speak at the IMES academies that Curtis was just referring to, that they just wrapped up, and then they've got another one coming up at the beginning of November. And the biggest question I get from advisors during my presentation is, John, which trust do I use? So in its simplest form, the funeral expense trust is great for crisis planning. I have an elder law attorney down the street from me that I have a relationship with. It wouldn't be unusual for him to call me today and say, hey, I got this couple we're working with. We're going to submit Medicaid paperwork for them on the 1st. Can you come down here and do 15,000 on each spouse so that we can get 30,000 off the table for them? So it's great for the crisis planning. Maybe Medicaid's possible in 5 years. Maybe you have a client who has someone in care and they're writing checks right now and they're watching those balances of their estate go down, and they know within 5 years they're going to be broke. This is a great opportunity to help them protect some of that money. And then we do a lot of public speaking engagements or office planning engagements where we get new clients. And a lot of times, one of the questions on our fact finder is, have you prepaid your funeral? Yes or no? And if they say no, a lot of the clients, they just want to put the money away and know that it's done and it's protected, even if Medicaid's never possible. So then on the estate planning trust, maybe Medicaid's a non-issue. They're not worried about spending the money over that next 5-year period, but they would like to know that if something happened, they could easily transfer a limited amount of wealth to their children or charities. That's the real opportunity, is picking up some of those deals at 85,000 a pop into that trust. So the product that we actually use is very simple. And if you don't like paperwork, you are on the right webinar today. I love to tell this story. I wrote my first annuity back in 1993 on a guy who owned a dry cleaner in a town called Marion, Ohio. And my first annuity application, a couple things happened. Number one, it was 3 pieces of paper, and the last piece was a receipt for them. And so I couldn't believe that it was that easy. And I also couldn't believe they let me walk out of their business with a $25,000 check. That time in my career, it was the biggest annuity I'd written and the first annuity. My point to that is this: if you're writing business today, you can see it's 20, 30, 40 pieces of paper. So we've made this very simple that within a 15-minute process, you could have this wrapped up for your client and have your application ready to go. So this is what the application looks like. Very simple in nature. You're going to have them come down. You're going to sign on the bottom that you're the agent. They're going to have a different one of two assignments. It's either going to be for the funeral trust or the estate planning trust. You'll have them come down here and sign on this. You can see this down here where it says immediate transfer. So I'll use the elder law attorney. If he's going to try to qualify somebody on the 1st of October, I mean, what is today? I think like the 18th, 19th. We need to get this done for him. So we can actually waive that 30-day period and have them issue it and put it into the trust immediately for us so that the attorney can do his work. What does it cover with the irrevocable funeral trust? Just about anything that you would need to pay for in a funeral situation. You can see there that it'll step up and allow you to use those funds for that. So what about presenting to clients? How do I start? I was really fortunate in this business. I had a great mentor, and he used to tell me that if you've got something new that you want to share, start with your current clients. They like you, they know you, they trust you. So if you're doing an annual review, which you should be doing with your clients, one of the first things that you might want to ask the client is, hey, have you prepaid your funeral? And if they say no, then you want to share this information with them. Again, you've done a good job from them. They're willing to listen to what your next suggestion might be. And then you're going to just stress those benefits of planning ahead, let them know it can be used with any funeral home. And then I think where a lot of agents miss this is, there's a lot of old paid up policies out there that you might be doing a review for the client and they've brought them out of the lockbox and they got that musty smell and they unfold 4 or 5 times before you can see any data. But those old policies, your clients do not understand that if they have 10,000 in cash value and they've got a $12,000 death benefit and they die, they don't get both. They get the bigger of the two. So what we'll point out to our clients is, hey, you really only have $2,000 worth of insurance. The rest is your money. If you get sick and go into a nursing home, they're going to make you spend the 10 grand. Doesn't it make more sense to 1035 that existing money into this plan, since you're going to use it for your final expenses anyway, and protect the money while we can get the money protected? And then again, your clients are going to have that peace of mind of knowing that they've planned ahead and that their funds are protected. Where do we find the money? Gosh, the money's everywhere. I love to say to a client, especially if they've bought into the whole process, I will just say to them, hey, Mary, if we really think about this, seriously, you're really not even buying anything. You're just taking money from your left pocket that's countable for a Medicaid spend down if you go to a nursing home. You're going to move it over to your right pocket to make sure that money's protected. Clients get that. The simpler, the better when we're talking to a client about their money. So the marketing materials that they use, they've got, once you're licensed with Unity through IMES, you can order they'll send you a packet with the producer guide. They've got some really nice trifold pieces on the funeral trust or the estate planning trust that are very layman's term for the client, so that the client can make a decision. Here's why I say that. A lot of times you'll get from a client, and I had this happen, it's been a couple years ago, but went out, did the presentation. The client already had annuities with me. And when we got done, she looked at me and she said, hey, John, that we don't make a decision on anything the first day. We like to pray on it and sleep on it. And I said, well, that's fine, but you know me as well. I'm big on making decisions while the information is fresh in your mind and you can make a good decision. So I'm fine with you sleeping on it. I'm going to leave you this trifold brochure and I'm going to call you back tomorrow at 1 o'clock so that we can figure out you're either in or you're out, right? So long story short, true story, next morning, 9 o'clock, my phone rings. It's her. She's like, hey, we slept on it. We read back through the brochure. Let's get the appointment set up. We want to get the money moved. That was almost $100,000 1035 exchange that we did for the client. So pretty good day at the office. This is huge. This is provided by Unity for you to give to your clients. And the easiest way for me to sum this up for you is, had I had this planning guide and my dad had taken the time to actually go through and fill out all the information, I could have walked into that funeral home and handed this to the funeral director, and he could have taken care of my whole dad's funeral without asking me any questions at all. So my mentor always taught me, when I wrote a deal with a client, to leave them a task to keep them engaged, right? To keep them from thinking, oh man, should I have done this or should I have not? This is a great tool to keep them engaged, because what we do is we leave it with the client and we tell them, hey, we're going to come back with your contract. And when we do, we expect this to be filled out. Because if you fill this out, and I had never met you before, Mrs. Jones, I could take your policy with Unity and this, and I could take care of your whole funeral without even knowing you. So again, it's powerful. It gets the job done. Unity's website is got a lot of good information on it. can order supplies. You can see at the bottom there, you can call them directly. Even the president of the company will talk to you. If you got to that point and said, hey, I want to speak to the president of the company, they would certainly make him available to you. So again, overcoming the challenges of being able to use this in your practice. I showed you the stats. The clients believe in pre-planning. You just need to put this out in front of them. Stress those benefits of pre-planning and protecting those assets from a nursing home. And don't forget to ask every client every day, every time, have you prepaid your funeral? It's a yes or no question. I mean, that's the beauty of it. If they say no, you've got a great idea to share with them. If they say yes, do you have any money that you're concerned might go to a nursing home at some point that you'd like to make sure go to your children or your charities? And then again, you can use the estate planning trust to help them with that. Curtis, for some reason, they do not. Are you there with me?
I am, yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I don't see the beneficiary guide on here, but I know it pretty well, so I'm going to walk through it. Okay, before we
Okay.
do the questions. So once you become licensed with IMES, with Unity through IMES, I developed a beneficiary guide several years ago, and I don't know why it's not on this presentation, but we can certainly get that to you. But basically, the reason we did it was this. I had a client that I'd wrote a $500,000 annuity on. She had been a client 4 or 5 years, got a phone call from her daughter that she had passed away. I said to the daughter, hey, we're going to need to set up an appointment. You're the beneficiary of this annuity, but just get through first what you need to get through. And she said, oh, John, don't worry about that. I've already talked to the guy at the bank. He's going to handle everything. We really appreciate everything you've done for Mom. When I got off that phone call, I was sick to my stomach for 2 reasons. Number one, I thought that business was going to perpetually go through us. And number two, I didn't feel like I'd done my job. And my job was to make sure that if a client passes away, that family knows Inting Financial Services is who you go to. So we created this beneficiary guide for our clients, and it says right on the front, for help settling your estate, call Inting Financial Services. And then it actually inside of it has about a 20-page guide that tells them everything they need to do, from where they can locate the will or the trust, letters to the credit card company, Social Security, pension plans, to make it easy for the beneficiaries to wrap up the estate. But what it really did for us is it drove the client back to us, right? Because when you give it to the client, and we never had one client that didn't say to us, wow, this is amazing. Our kids are going to love this. And so just to tell you how that does work and how it's really come back to help us, it's been a little over a year and a half ago now, we got a phone call from a client of ours that lives in Pennsylvania. She said, hey, Dad died. I've got this beneficiary guide here, and it says to call you guys. So I'm just going to make it a long story short. We ended up in one appointment with the daughter. We did over $1 million in business between life insurance, investments, and annuities. One appointment, one setting. We had everything prepared, and we get those calls from the beneficiary guide. Usually we'll get 10 to 12 a year. And out of the 10 to 12 a year, we're usually working with all the beneficiaries from the beneficiary guide. So I apologize that we can't see it here, but it does have a financial questionnaire with it. And so what we'll do is we'll walk our clients, we'll take the guide out to them. We'll tell them that we really value their business. Here's the guide. There's a letter for me on the inside telling them how much we appreciate everything. And then we'll tell them that we need to fill out a new financial questionnaire with them, right? Because your best clients do not tell you everything. And I can tell you how I know this. When we went out and put these guides out to all of our clients over a 6-month period, we wrote about $1.5 million of a new annuity premium. about $250,000 of single premium life and about $150,000 into the funeral trust plans. So we know it works. We know it opens up conversations. We know the clients appreciate it. So once you're licensed, they'll make it available to you in a digital format where you can go in and put your company branding on it, get them printed, get them out to your clients, and start seeing the revenue come off of that business. So Curtis, I apologize that that's not on there. I'm going to take responsibility for that. But I think it's a great tool, and it's certainly served our business well.
It is a good piece. Yeah, we've had I would just say this in general. We've got a lot of advisors that utilize that and incorporate that into their practice. That are talking about. I mean, it's just in general, it's a good piece. To the point that you're making.
Well, if you have any questions or anybody has anything out there that I can answer for you, I'd certainly be more than happy to do that.
So we actually have a couple of questions, or a few questions that have come here so far. First question is there an e-application available, or is it just paper?
I get that every time. It's just paper, but they do make it where if you get the paper app and then they have a form that they can do a direct deposit or direct withdrawal, you can just fax it into the company. So they do make it very easy. I have not heard any rumblings about an e-app, but here's the other thing. I can't believe with the direction that the insurance world is going that we won't see that soon.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that has obviously grown significantly over the last couple of years. So I mean, candidly, I kind of feel like if we're sitting here 5 years from now, I don't know that we're going to be able to do paper applications with any of the carriers anymore as they're going through this transition. Okay, next question. So one question was on the trust. So the question is, why is there a reason for it being irrevocable only?
Yes, and that's a great question, and I actually addressed that on one of the slides. It's not in there, but the reason it's irrevocable is because that's what protects the dollars immediately from a Medicaid spend down. That's what keeps it from that 5-year look back period. And to that point, I tell every single client that we do business with in this plan, I'm very upfront. Hey, this is irrevocable. This is for your final expenses. Don't call me and ask me to borrow on it. Don't call me and ask me to cash it in. Don't call me and ask me anything other than, is it coming out and when? And I will tell you that's going to happen when you pass away. And that's the reason for it, is to protect the money and make sure the money's there when the client needs it the most.
Okay. Got a question here. Well, state approvals.
Oh, yes. You know what? If you give me 1 second here, if you don't mind, I'm going to go back in here and just see if I can find the one that has that on there. And I don't know if this is going to be it, but if it is, I will get that question up. And what was the question again there, Curtis?
What states is it approved in?
Which, yep, that's
too, that we can get the list.
Here you go. And I apologize for not having that up there. So we will go to slideshow and we'll go from current. Okay. Great question. And what I'll do here too, because I know we have a couple minutes, I'll go back and show them the front of the guide because it's probably on this one. Okay. So again, here's the funeral trust limits by state. So you can see with most of them, you can put up to $15,000 into the plan. But let me point something out, and I always use Nebraska because that's where IMES is located. If you look here, you can see their maximum amount that they can put in is $4,978 into the irrevocable funeral trust. So if it were me and I was sitting with a client and the client said, hey, we're going to do a traditional funeral, we really like this plan, but you're telling me we can only put $4,978 in it, what I would tell them is that is correct. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to fund this fully because it's protected immediately. Then we're going to take the difference of what we need, the $10,022, and we're going to put that into the estate planning trust. Yes, it has a 5-year look back period on it, but at least we're getting the clock started and ticking so that, again, when you need this money, you've got the amount that you need to pay for your funeral in there. So don't, even if you were in Michigan where it's not available, the estate planning trust is, I would say, hey, let's put 15,000 in there and get the 5-year clock started on protecting the money. I mean, obviously, if you've got someone that's dying in a month, probably not a great plan. But a lot of our clients are healthy and vibrant and just want to get the plan done, and that would work for them. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
All right, now I'm going to go down here, Curtis, since we are on this, and just give them an idea of what this looks like, the beneficiary guide. There we go. So this is what I was talking to you about, the guide for beneficiaries. And again, they make this available to you so you can put it into your own branding of your company. But you can see here, we're pretty much to the point. We want them to call us because we don't want money walking out of the door. And then we have this letter in there. This is a letter that you could copy and put into your packet as well. And when we get these bound to go to our clients, we do them in a binder that has the clear plastic sheet on the front, and we got them done nicely. We pay to get them done, but it has that clear sheet, so when they're looking at it, they just see that first page that I showed you. And then behind it is 25 pages of, again, the things that need to be done when someone passes away, that the layman person is not going to really understand what they need to do. And then again, here is our financial organizer that I was telling you that we go back through and fill out with them to make sure we have all their updated data. And then here, question 8, have you prepaid your funeral? If we find an opportunity in here, we don't launch into a sales pitch, right? We're just trying to get valuable information, and then we'll circle back with them. As an example, have you prepaid your funeral? If they tell us yes, then we're going to ask them, do you have any other funds you want to make sure you protect from a nursing home? If they tell us no, we're going to tell them we want to share an idea with them that other clients utilize. It's been very valuable to their family. And then what we will say is we're gonna go back through your financial information that you shared with us, and we're gonna update it. And this is a key question that we ask them. We always say to them, Mrs. Jones, if we find anything in here as we go back through your financials that could benefit your family, would you like us to share that with you? Well, what do you think they're going to say? Of course they want us to share it with them. And that sets us up for coming back with our ducks in a row for that next appointment to say, hey, look, we found something we think can be value to your family. Let's go through it. And that's how we were able to pick up all that business over that 6-month period of implementing these with our clients. So I'm glad we got back to this and we could see it. Hopefully that helps you understand what we're using and how we utilize it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad as well. So I'm gonna launch our poll for this real quick, and then I've got another question. So first off, poll question is, would you like to get contracted with Unity? And I think, John, you've done a great job of laying out why this can be a very good arrow in the quiver. One additional question we had was, outside of existing clients, are there any ideas on marketing this out to just general prospects and consumers?
Well, I will, one thing, Curtis, you've known me a while. I'll tell you how the cow ate the cabbage. We've tried a lot of different marketing pieces and stuff. It just doesn't seem to pull the numbers that would warrant spending the money for that marketing. So we find the majority of our business comes through new client contacts or new prospect client contacts or existing client base, because that's really where your value is today. If you're on this call and you don't use this and you have a client base, remember, these people know you, they like you, and you probably know where to pull the money best to help them get this set up. So to answer that question, we haven't really found anything as far as a general public marketing piece that draws what we would feel confident to say to advisors, hey, spend your money on this.
Yeah. Now, one thing I would mention and add on to that is we have put together a couple of email and mail templates that you can use with your existing client base if you want to just introduce the idea and then follow up with a phone call. And so we do have those available, and we have built those out. Those seem to be pretty effective.
Agreed.
So I'll go ahead and shut this down. So I think that, let's scroll through here. I think that was the last question that we had for today, and I know we're coming up on the hour. With that, John, I appreciate you taking some time with us this morning. I know you've got a busy schedule, but I hope everybody sees what we see. This is a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to strengthen a relationship with your existing clients. It's a great opportunity to identify new opportunities for business, and helps with the efficient transfer of not necessarily even transfer of wealth, but just at a time that's a stressful situation, it makes it easier to go through that, having this planning up front. So we'll be having the life sales directors reach out to you. If you have any questions, certainly feel free to reach out to us. Phone number is 800-255-5055. And again, thanks everybody for being on the call with us. And John, really appreciate you taking some time with us today.
Thank you, and I hope everybody has a great week.